unsophisticated everyman.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, feel better, look better, just be better every damn day of their lives. Also, our Wednesday show, presented by our friends at Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub, just on the edge of Lansing and East Lansing, just north of Frandor. Outstanding place to watch a game there at Front 43 and at Cask & Company, frankly. Great date night place, Cask & Company. Great modern Asian American menu. Something for everybody. Good beer selection. Just a good overall place. And I think a lot of you have been there and know that now. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
How are we?
How are you?
How are you?
How are you? Sorry, I Jack Morris to that one.
You did.
Sorry about that. How are you, my friend?
What do you think Jack Morris was thinking?
I don't know.
So
You want to play it real quick?
You want to play it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now what do you do with Shohei Ohtani?
Be very, very careful.
You walk him.
Shepherd. Oh boy, you're welcome. By the way, terrible Asian accent anyway. It sounded like Elmer Fudd. But you have to know that you're on Bally's and it's in the eighth inning. That there's it's a family atmosphere. And you can do that off the air, I guess, Jack. But I just have no idea. I couldn't believe it.
So that's the recovery. That's where he screwed up. You come back and you're like, that wasn't even that was my Elmer Fudd.
Absolutely. A producer let him down.
Yeah.
Because I immediately said, that's Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
And they could have just went to commercial, went in his ear, and be like, just tell them you did an Elmer Fudd impersonation and you're sorry about the Elmer Fudd thing.
If you come back there, and this happened last night, and you say, I realize that might sound insensitive. I wasn't even thinking that way. I was thinking of just doing Elmer Fudd, and I apologize. You're good. You're good to go. But I don't think there will be any gross repercussions. It's not.
I don't know. It made national news because
it did.
Being Ohtani. I think they might give him a couple weeks off and hope it blows over, something like that.
The problem is when he's off, they get so much worse, and they're already not very good.
I don't know, really. I don't think I'm a fan of any of them, to be honest with you. I know it's a tough gig, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? I think that you could have Gibby up there and give Morris. I don't know. It's a tough decision. Obviously, I don't think Jack Morris should be fired, right? Do we think he should be fired? That's the problem that I have with all of these things that happen, that we overreact and we call someone now he's a racist for life and all of that stuff. It's just.
Okay, but let me give you a little bit of the history of Jack Morris.
Yes, I know. Okay. Yeah. let's do it.
So this was pointed out by Keith Olbermann today. And when playing for the Tigers, Jack Morris was approached for a locker room interview by Jennifer Fry. At the time, Fry was an intern with the Miami Herald. She would later work as a reporter for the New York Times and Washington Post. Morris responded to Fry that, quote, I don't talk to women when I'm naked unless they're on top of me or I'm on top of them. When the Herald complained about his actions, Bo Schembechler, good old Bo back then.
Yeah, fired
solid,
Ernie.
Solid, yeah.
Fresh off firing Ernie Harwell.
Yeah, and covering up Dr. Anderson. Good work, Bo, who was the president of the Tigers at the time, said to the newspaper had a, quote, lack of common sense for assigning a woman to the locker room interview. So these ain't the most woke fellas you've ever seen.
No, come on. You can't bring up something that happened in the 80s. And by the way, that was funny. He was trying to be funny, right? We're going to bring up something from in the 80s that Jack Morris did a terrible Elmer Fudd thing. And
I don't think he should be fired. I wish his apology was a little better.
But that's a part of the problem, though, Graham. What you just did right there, you're bringing up all of Jack Morris's faults in a conversation of he mocked an Asian accent that sounded like Elmer Fudd. He's embarrassed about it. He apologized. And then you're going to bring up something from the 80s about a woman reporter, a joke that he made in jest, right?
No, and I wouldn't fire people. Like the idea that you fire people for a mistake like that, or even if it was something that's insensitive. There are lots of insensitive people in this world. We all have our own insensitive inclinations. There are a few things we've said on this show over time that could probably be viewed as insensitive. But what I think you do is you shame people in the moment. That's the thing. You don't let Jack Morris get away with Like Shep has to be more comfortable in his skin. I mean, that was a shitty apology. I hate the idea of the notion that if you were offended, don't do the if you were offended thing. It was an offensive comment.
I wasn't offended.
I know,
it's
but
not. I'm not. It's not for me to be offended by. But you know what I mean. I wasn't offended by it. But what do you want the guy to do?
Just say it was an offensive comment. I should know better, and I apologize.
I don't think Shepard was ready for it.
No, he wasn't.
Because I mean, come on, how many games are we in where everything has been in a 3-hour, nice little fun family fest?
And if you're
pick the stick, and then Jack Morris just comes in barreling.
And what you don't want if you're Shep is you don't want your voice tied to that segment. You want to be as distant from that as possible.
See, now we're making it bigger than it actually is.
Absolutely. It's you know what it is. You know what it is. It's a
If Shepard would have just said, "What are you doing, Elmer Fudd?" I think we could have just squashed it.
Well, yeah, and look, it's a mistake you shouldn't make, but especially with all the shit that Ohtani's kind of gone through on that front, but.
I was talking to Treese, and I was like, they went to commercial break. Well, we didn't hear it.
Okay.
And they come back, and then he does his apology, and I'm like, so I get on Twitter, and I thought it was Dan Petrie. Skyman, thank you. And so, yeah, they played me the clip. Someone sent me the clip, and I'm like, what? Jack Morris, what are you doing? Right? Like, it's Bally Sports Network. Like, it's a family broadcast. I mean, even the Rube knows when to PC it up a little bit. We have fun on this show, but you know what I mean? It's just a different environment. You're in that environment for 3+ hours when you do these baseball games. You know not to do something like that. Maybe he thought it was going to go over as funny, but
look, and this whole show is predicated on my wife and boss never listening, right? So that's where we begin. That's the premise.
Sure.
Of the show. So I'm aware that there are things. I don't think it's a fireable thing. I think it was a dumbass thing to say. I think you get shamed in the minute and you move on and you just hope the apology is better than that. And if it becomes a theme, then it's a problem, right? If it becomes something where you're, and
I want to hear it one more time.
Now what do you do with Shohei Ohtani?
Be very, very careful.
Yeah,
it's Dominican. It's not even. It's nowhere close to Asian.
You can't sell that as Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, you could. You could. You could sell it many other ways.
No,
that is not even close to an Asian accent.
Well, and I mean, well, there are
very, very careful. It's not even.
Here's the other problem. There are lots of different Asian accents. It's such a generalization of, I mean, I'm just saying.
How many are there? Woke couch. Tell me.
Hey, there are lots of different European accents. I'm just saying there are different Asian accents. There are a lot of Asian countries. Asia's a big fucking place. That's
Should I apologize
to
Australian people when I go, no?
I should apologize to Yoda when
You should apologize to them.
Offensive it is.
The listeners.
Okay, so a bunch of other stuff I want to get into today.
All right.
Before we have Harry, and we give our can't-miss parlays. By the way, mine hit last week, so
I don't even remember what mine was. It could have hit.
Yeah, but so that was $100, paid $490. So I'm not saying you want to listen to me every week, but I was close the last time we did it. Hit it week 2, so I'm just putting myself out there.
Yeah,
and
Harry's on a cold streak, so maybe we need to listen to Couch.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. One other thing that I thought was interesting: the Lions long snapper, been there forever, 40th birthday, gets cut yesterday.
Yes.
What? I don't really understand cutting somebody. I mean, I understand you're a grown man. You shouldn't celebrate your birthday. But why? I mean, they had this big thing in the locker room, like he was sitting next to this big, sparkly 40. It was in a rocking chair. Like, what? Why not do it today? Why not do it on his 40th day?
The day after.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he is one of those guys. I mean, they brought in the rocking chair, which was Carlos Monarez's idea, by the way, and the 4 and the 0 in there.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. So, yes, it just goes to prove this organization is absolute trash. And the Ford family, I mean, does anyone have a clue in this organization? A guy that worked there for 17 years on his 40th birthday, it's on Twitter. Lions Twitter was actually tweeting about his birthday. Dude, do it Friday. Let the guy, I mean, how does he go home? Does he go home and then does his family go out to eat after that? I mean, I understand it's a great career, 17 years. He's made enough money to retire okay and everything like that. We're not worried about that part, but dude, it's just a bad look from a team, from an organization that has What's the word I'm looking for? Has
To go after it.
problems
Superfluous?
with superfluous problems with former players like Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders and the like, and then you fire a guy after 17 years. Just cut him.
In the grand scheme of things, it's hard for me to get outraged by it. I just thought it was dumb. Like, it's one of those things. Why not just wait?
I'm not saying
day.
outrage. It's just you shake your head and you go, God damn, this organization is inept.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
He did have the peachiest job in football, being the long snapper. If you can 17 years making money being a long snapper, you got to be good, because as soon as the long snapper's name is in the news, it's always for bad reasons.
You're on the Lions.
Yeah, you're on.
And the beat writers make him a name. I'm not saying I feel bad for him by any means. I just was like, God bless America. I mean, why not just fine him $10,000 on the way out? Too. Just a cherry on top. Hey, Don, by the way, we're going to need that $10,000 back that we gave you last week.
So there are a couple other things I want to get into. One is Michigan State football.
What'd you learn?
And then we're gonna talk a little something that happened with a couple Pistons things that I think are interesting that have happened in the last couple days. But yeah, yesterday was an open practice for Michigan State football to a degree for 15 minutes, and then interviews with Mel Tucker, with Jay Johnson, with Jalen Naylor, until you got a sense of offense. It was really the first time outside of Zoom we've talked to Jay Johnson. So I want to talk a little bit about my impressions there. Before we do, if you aren't signed up for SkyMint deals on through the emails, like they've got the right now, unlock your SkyMint deal of the day, and they've got deals for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all sorts of things. Go to skymint.com, have them send you daily emails if you're interested at all, and it'll let you know what the best day is for you to go. And they also have weekly, they have deals all the time. Plus, you have the Couch and the Rube promo code, which if our deal is better than the deal they have going, you'll always get the 20% off. Couch and Rube 20 is the promo code. Go to SkyMint locations throughout the state of Michigan, 3 in the greater Lansing area, and go to skymint.com to figure all that out. So, Michigan State football yesterday, the practices have actually been decent. Like, it hasn't just been the stretching that we got in part of the D'Antonio era. There was good stuff with, quarterbacks and defensive backs and receivers but the things, you always make fun of me for using the term tea leaves, but tea leaves is what you have right now because coaches are only giving you so much, and it's the enthusiasm in which they talk about somebody, people they talk about unprompted. Those are important things, and it's very clear, like they're not going to give you who the leading quarterback situation is, and there are people who differ on this. Matt Charbonneau thinks, for example, that it's going to be Russo, and that's sort of the plan all along. I don't necessarily believe that, but they're not going to. They haven't made that decision, I don't think, and if they have, they're not hinting at it. And it'll probably be at least game week at the beginning before we know who the quarterback will be for that first game. And
Charbonneau thinks Russo just to start the Northwestern game, right?
At least, yeah. We'll see. I thought yesterday some of the stuff that was brought up about the running backs and other receivers were interesting. Harold Joyner's name was brought up, and just sort of the, a guy whose size and versatility. I mean, the dude is like 6'4", 215 as a running back. You don't see that very much. I don't even know how you're a running back that tall. I don't know how it works. But he's going to be interesting. A fast dude, big guy, how they use him, and how they use all these guys. But it was the first time people have really talked about him, and I think he's an interesting player that you sort of forget about, because there's been a lot of hype about Kenneth Walker, and Mel Tucker brought him up again yesterday. Elijah Collins is played well in camp, and obviously Jordan Simmons, a young player, showed some things. But Harold Joyner, a 4-star kid, wound up at Auburn, and now he's at Michigan State. And I think there's some, I think there's a load of talent. I think there's a lot to be excited about at that position. In the defensive backfield, one of the best ways to get a sense for who's really showing out in the defensive backfield is to ask receivers about it. So I asked Jalen Naylor about, and it right now appears Ronald Williams and Chester Kimbrough are going to be the starting corners if things were right now. That's exactly what Naylor said. And he said those are the two guys standing out as their corners. And so, again, this is why this team is so hard to predict how good they'll be. Because in a normal year with the turnover they've had and you lose your top corner to the NFL, you think, boy, this is the year the defense falls apart. But they go get a kid from Florida and a kid from Alabama, and those guys are winning the battles and probably going to be the starters in camp. So maybe you're okay at corner. Maybe that becomes a strength. Maybe these are both NFL guys, it turns out, over time. With some other good, young, interesting pieces there, guys like Angelo Gross. And, I think all of a sudden, does that become a strength, the position you thought was going to be a weakness? And so I think those are really, that's why we just don't have a freaking clue about what this will look like, because in a normal year, you would know who was kind of coming back. And, yeah, guys develop and they take steps, and there are things you don't anticipate, but not like this. Not when there's so many guys who are a little more college ready, who you haven't seen, who are going to be an absolute big part of things. At receiver, Montori Foster's name kept coming up, which is interesting. Keon Coleman's name comes up. And one of the things that I think's being talked about, and Jay Johnson sort of hinted at this, Coleman is raw, but he's extremely talented, and he is going to benefit extremely well from the not being needed, right? Receiver is a position of huge strength for them with Jalen Naylor and Jaden Reed and Trey Mosley. So all of a sudden you're looking at at least 3 down, or the fourth guy before you get to any of these younger players. Does his talent allow him to come on and have a package they have for him where it's only in passing situations? And those are things you're starting to hear. And Jay Johnson, I think, is a really good interview, really open about a lot of that stuff, and about, right now they're giving him the whole package. They want to see for the next 7 to 10 days how much of that he can digest, how much of that raw talent can pick that up and become a complete receiver that they can use on everything. And then they'll make the decision of, okay, this is a guy whose talent can help us, but from a understanding concepts in the offense, we can't give him too much. He's just going to do this. And so I think you're starting to see those conversations. There's one more scrimmage, and then there's also an open practice next week, which is sort of the Meet the Spartans thing, where I'll be at and any fan can be at. But you're starting to see some understanding of who's going to do what where, especially at those skill positions. And
will you be signing autographs at this thing? Can people come up and say hi to you?
My autograph would be like a Bob Uecker baseball card. You know it, man. It's like,
hey, watch your mouth about Bob Uecker baseball cards. I just picked one up at a flea market. It's like this past weekend.
I give you a Bud Light, and you take my autograph. Writing right up into my rectum, and it was painful. Is there anything that you read or heard coming out of yesterday?
A lot of names mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
They named a lot of wide receivers yesterday. I think that's a good thing.
They did.
Other than that, no. I didn't have any. There was no tea leaves for me.
It is clear that they think, like last year, I think that Jalen Naylor became a very complete receiver by the end of the year. And I think Jaden Reed, he had some drops, he had some issues, and some of it was the quarterback play. But it's how does he was coming out of Western Michigan. They thought he was going to we had the play-by-play voice from Robin Hook from Western Michigan on when Jaden Reed was transferring, and he thought he was going to be special at East Lansing. And he's a guy who's seen Greg Jennings and Jamarco Simmons and what's his name is with the NFL.
Earl Campbell.
No, the guy who went like the 5th overall pick.
Cockburn.
Jamarcus Russell.
No.
Trev Alberts.
Good day for Trev Alberts. Corey Davis.
Yeah, Corey Davis.
Yeah, that guy. So he's seen a lot of good receivers. He knows what a good receiver looks like. And it's very clear to me that that Johnson and the staff, they think that duo and maybe trio of receivers has a chance to be truly special this year with another year with better quarterback play. And we'll see that if that's truly the strength of everything. But another interesting practice, some good comments. They're doing the best they can over there. It's not Zoom anymore, but they sort of have a setup where it's dueling 2 press conferences at once, and they're making coordinators available. I think they're going defense on tomorrow on Thursday. But so those are my observations from yesterday. In practice, it's hard to tell who's, again, what we're seeing, who's what in terms of order and other things like that. But I think
Tucker's letting you see more than D'Antonio would.
Yeah, especially the last week when there was a lot of team drills going on. Yeah, and there were times that we saw a fair bit with D'Antonio, but it feels like there's more of it.
It felt like you were intruding on a D'Antonio kind of thing. I went to one.
In defense of D'Antonio, we get like 3 periods, and the periods are like 5, 7, 8 minutes. So we might be out there for 15 to 25 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with D'Antonio, I remember there were times where we got like the first 6 period. We got longer sometimes. So I don't want to say, there weren't times that we saw some valuable stuff there, but it's also usually fairly well. They understand when we're there and when we're not going to be there, and they'll show so much. That will make next Monday's open practice at Spartan Stadium in front of fans interesting. How much do they show? And the thing is, when you have an open practice, and this was the case when I covered Western Michigan, lived in Kalamazoo, by the way.
Oh, no kidding.
You can't hide injuries. Like, you can hide how a guy's hurt. You just don't have him out there. But if a dude's missing, a dude's missing. You can't hide things when practices are open. So I think it's kind of cool that they're doing that. And anyway, those are my thoughts on Michigan State's practice yesterday. Okay, let's just keep going. We'll take a break before we get to Harry. Let's stay here for right now. Couple other stories I want to get to.
Mello.
Let's get to Mello first.
I have the audio if you want to hear it.
Let's hear it.
Skipped over you, took Darko. Do you ever think, because that was a good Detroit team, obviously they went on and won championships. Do you ever think of that, like, damn,
changed the course of my career, man.
Right?
Insert him. Take away
Instead of
Tayshaun.
It was, I'm going to tell you what, man, to this day, I still think about that.
Really?
Yeah, hell yeah. Because I'm like, they promised me. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we taking you. We taking you.
Did they?
I'm talking all the way up to draft day. You understand? We taking you. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to Detroit. I get Chauncey there.
Rip.
Johnny John. Man, all these guys is there. She came in the middle of the year. I mean, she got traded.
Oh, that's right.
And that's what really put them over the top. But they was like, yo, you going to share time with Tayshaun? I'm like, cool. Like, I ain't, I'm going to come and do my thing. But I don't know how long I'm going to share time with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just coming and do my thing. And then they won it. And I'm like, oh, my luck. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm there, I think they win another one.
I think so too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't jump out there and say we 3-peat football. I think we go back to back if I'm there. Because that second year for me I would have learned from those guys. They was all vets, and I would have learned from those guys in the way that second year coming back, I'd have been a totally different player coming back. But
everything happens for a reason.
But
all right, and that was from the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and what's his name? Who's the other guy that's on there?
I forget.
Whatever.
Okay.
So that's where that was from.
So I want to get into this. But by the way,
Matt Barnes, sorry.
Yeah. If you're looking for a place to watch Pistons games, Tigers games, all the football games this fall, Front 43 Cask and Company, just north of Frandor in East Saginaw and Lansing. I'm telling you, there is no better setup to watch games than at the bar at Front 43. I just think the way their TVs are set up, it's easy on the eyes. There's a lot of stuff going on. They've got, I don't know, it's a great place to watch games, and that's how they became our first sponsor, was me sitting there with Matt Mancarini, Drink, mentioned him, and on a bye week for Michigan State, and enjoying the game and realizing, this place fits us. Like, I love this place, and great beer selection, good people, and they really worked to put a great menu together. Go to caskandcompany.com, and they also outstanding patio set up outside, which is underrated the way they have that set up. It's really, really good, so give them a shot. You can also order takeout. Go to caskandcompany.com. Okay, so to the point of Mello.
Yeah.
I mean, it's painful to listen to, knowing what happened. And it's painful for a couple reasons. One, they didn't get the second one. They should have got the second one. Rasheed Wallace let big shot Rob Ory shoot that 3 in Game 5. Otherwise, they probably close it out. They're up like 8 going into the fourth quarter in Game 7. Like, if they had gotten 2, I think we all would have been able to sort of let that Pistons group go away, get older age, and say they got 2 rings out of that. That was an amazing group. It left you wanting a little more. The number of Eastern Conference Finals they got to, the fact that they took Darko hurt a little bit. But these are the moments that sting because this is different than Len Bias and the Celtics in '86. But Len Bias would have been joining, coming off the Celtics' best team in '86, joining a veteran group as a dynamic player, and who knows what that would have done. Now, it might have hurt the bad boy era. It might have changed a lot of things. And obviously, the situation with Melo is a little different, but
he's still alive.
He's still alive, right.
Yeah.
Unlike Dave Bergman, he's still alive. Sorry.
I can't believe you compared it to a guy dying.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of what could have been for a franchise with vets, with a young guy coming in. I've always thought, Ben Wallace is on record saying they would have won no titles if they drafted Carmelo.
I agree with him.
I don't know that that's true. I think the key would have been still getting Rasheed, who they got in the middle of that next year, and using Tayshaun for defense, and it would have changed who they were.
But they don't trade for Rasheed Wallace, and you heard it in that clip that he was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'll sit there and play the game and be behind Tayshaun, but next year, so that mentality would have broke apart some of those NBA veteran guys because the young guy who is would have been the number 2 pick overall is going to have his attitude, and maybe it breaks up the locker room. I'll take the championship in 2004 and all this what if shit, and because Carmelo doesn't have a ring yet. One of the best collegiate basketball players I've ever seen. But, he's an NBA Hall of Famer and all that. But I don't really sit back there and go, what if? I agree with Ben Wallace. I think they would get 0.
Maybe. And it certainly you would have had a player whose prime would have hit. And this is what
that would have been the upside.
Well, yeah, this is the comparison to bias that I meant to do. You would have a player whose prime would have hit as the rest of the players were aging a little bit, right? And so could it become Melo? Could it be Chauncey Billups' team and Ben Wallace's team to a point, and then as those guys are aging, you do what's never really been done before. The idea, and I guess the Spurs are the closest to really do this, where they've sort of transitioned from eras, right? Where you don't get bad ever, and you just transition to this next guy's era where he's now the front man, and that's.
But Carmelo wants to be the guy. Especially in the early 2000s, when he went to Denver, he wanted to be the guy.
Correct, but his whole deal would have been different. He went to a bad Denver team. If he had gone to that Pistons team, it would have been different. The other thing that's interesting is the Pistons got rid of Chauncey Billups too early. There were a lot of teams that got rid of point guards too early, and I think they would have kept him. I think they would have been competitive for a little while longer. And again, we'll never know. Darko is obviously a horrible pick. Like, obviously, if they had to do it over
still
again.
has one more ring than Carmelo.
But if they had to do it over again, they don't take Darko. So who do they take? Do you think they should take Carmelo, or do they take Dwayne Wade? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you take
another ball-dominant player.
Right. But I definitely take Carmelo. He was the second best player in that draft at the time.
And who he was at Syracuse,
was unbelievable.
I think his whole career might have been different. Anyway, it was heartbreaking to watch.
That's why I disagree. I don't think it was that heartbreaking. If they didn't win in 2004, I think, yes, you could make a case for it being heartbreaking. But, I mean, as a Pistons fan, I wasn't heartbroken by hearing that. It was just a pompous kind of Carmelo kind of thing of like, yeah, we would have won. I'm not going to say 3-peat, but I will say backed up. It's like that.
Yeah.
That mentality wasn't going to work in that locker room, and those veterans would have kicked his ass.
You might be right. It's worth looking up and watching. It makes you reminisce, and this transitions us to our next story, because I think the reason it sort of is, there's a twinge of, heartbreak's too strong, a twinge of what if is a better way to say it, is that it's very clear that Carmelo wanted to be in Detroit. And Detroit is a place where sometimes it doesn't feel like the professional athlete chooses you, and it feels good when they do. Like, I mean, even when the Tigers re-up Jonathan Scope, and he talked about, I love this place, I want to be here. There is an element, when you hear that from, it endears you to them, right? You hear that from them, like, this is a place I want to be. And it was clear that Carmelo felt that way. This brings us to the other story that's going on, and I'm happy this happened. Jalen Green, the number 2 pick in the draft, sort of blasts Detroit and compared it to a G League bubble, right? He didn't he said with Detroit, it just felt like going back to the G League bubble. Just got out of the bubble. There's nothing to do. Basically, I didn't really have anything to do but stay in the gym. That's what it felt like in Detroit. It would have been stepping outside in Detroit. There are not many things you can do in Detroit like that. You're just going to stay in the gym and then go back to your apartment. Total bullshit. A guy who's 19 who doesn't know shit about shit. And that's fine.
They have top golf.
19-year-olds are dumber than – that's why 19-year-olds would lose to 50-year-olds in tennis. Why? Because 19-year-olds are stupid. That's why you don't reach your athletic prime till you're 27. 19-year-olds are stupid. But that's okay. But what I'm glad this happened is – and I fell into this too. There was a lot of sort of wondering, was Cade the right choice over Jalen Green? And from a basketball standpoint, we won't know that for a couple years. But from a getting all on board with Cade Cunningham and not looking back at Jalen Green, this did it.
Yeah.
This is like
Cade Cunningham thanked Jalen Green.
Absolutely.
So thank you for doing that.
Cade is our guy, is what you're thinking of, and Jalen is not. And now you've created a rivalry. You've created and Cade has been all about being in Detroit, and now and obviously has a lot of good intangibles and all those things. And I just think that this, right? Am I reading that wrong? That this helps that situation.
It definitely helps Cade Cunningham's situation because now Pistons fans, no matter what, will never doubt who, if they took the right player.
If he's just a really good player, not even a superstar, and they win with him, people will be okay.
But
you
mentioned that 19-year-old kids are stupid, and they're doing a lot of these interviews, and they're doing Instagram lives, and they get questions from people, and they just slip up and say something stupid. Maybe he doesn't even mean that, right? But
it also speaks to the whole idea that NBA players are relatively stupid when it comes to where you live and what's actually in what cities. First of all, and I'll be honest, like I'm not a huge Metro Detroit guy. I think Michigan is the best state in the world, but it's because of everything else. And Detroit is nice because it gives us a big market with certain professional sports and things. But I mean, the west side of the state's far more beautiful. Northern Michigan, the UP, lots of things I like. I like mid-sized towns, all that stuff. But the other thing is, I bet most NBA people don't love Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a great city. You only have to live in this. You don't have to live in this town in the off season. Number one. Number two, during the season, you're either on the road half the time or you're playing a game at night. They're like 12 days a year you're home and not playing a game at night that you are in that city. So it's really not
technically you don't have to live there.
Yeah, you can have an apartment there in the season.
Right.
Yeah. And the other thing is Houston, for fuck's sake. I mean, when's the last natural disaster that didn't just take a hurricane that didn't take out Houston, right? I mean, I guess this last one in Haiti, but it's most of them take out Houston. The heat is uninhabitable. I mean, I've been to Houston. I like it in the winter and stuff, but like there's a lot of other things going on in Texas. I don't get, the idea that you'd want to live in Houston over Detroit. Do your thing. But anyway, I think it's more of a story, and I'm just ranting now because I'm so pro-Michigan, and I get so annoyed when people go after Michigan. I think it's more a cool story, an interesting story, because it really just hardens the love for Cade Cunningham and separates those two and ends all the talk about what if, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was texting back with Harry. We got to get to Harry here.
Okay, let's take a break. We come back. We'll have Harry Gagnon. We'll get into his best bets for the week, our can't miss parlays. We'll do that next. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
All right, very pleased now on Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar, to have our good friend Harry Gagnon on from the Against All Odds podcast with Cousin Sal and BestBetCorner.com and ExtraPoints.com. Harry, how you doing, man? You are a traveling man. Are you wearing a shirt right now? That should be the first question.
I am wearing a shirt, and I'm actually back in Phoenix. I'm not traveling for a little bit right now, guys, so I'm good to go, man. I miss you guys. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, shave that back, and let's end this cold streak already.
Shave that back. I know. Shaving that back will take a few hours, definitely, but let's end this cold streak. Something. I mean, this is brutal baseball this season this year for me.
You did a video of you going down a water slide, and I swear you were going to get stuck in the slide. Like, that was the video. That was what I was waiting to happen, and then you came out the other end. But that's what usually happens to me. I don't know, as an adult on water slides, Jason, I don't know if you've had this problem, but I often wind up, like, there's one area, and I usually get through it. It's not like I really get stuck and I have to bring in, like, the fire department or anything. But there's one area where there's just not quite enough water to propel me, and I have to, like, scrunch my legs forward. And to keep
what water parks are you going to?
I don't know, just regular water parks.
Where are these?
Just use most water slides. I struggle to get all the way through.
Those are slides for kids. What are you doing on those?
Oh, that may actually maybe the problem.
Go to the adult side.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, okay. Well, Harry, it's good to talk with you, man, and want to get into your picks for the day, and then we're going to have you grade our can't miss parlays. And mine, by the way, mine hit last week. So
nice.
Mine too.
Nice.
It did not. Yours did not.
How did you know?
It just didn't. Where that? All right. So Harry, the where do you want to start? Do you want to start in baseball or?
Let's start in baseball today.
Okay.
I got a little 2-team parlay today. Hopefully, I can catch this. Guys, listen. I think. I got -125. Ohtani's going against your guys' Tigers.
I like
Angels 4-1 against the Tigers this year. All 4 wins have been by 2 runs or more. Ohtani 7-1 as a starter this season, and he has 7 RBIs in those 5 meetings against the Tigers this season. So maybe he gets a little offense as well. So I like the Angels at -125 over the Tigers. And at -230, the second part of the parlay, let's take the Braves over the Marlins. Charlie Morton's been fantastic for the Braves. He's 11-4 this season. And Jesus Luzardo, 9.20 ERA going for the Marlins. Morton last start versus Miami was July 7th. He went 7 innings strong, 7 Ks, 2 hits, 0 earned runs. So let's try a little 2-team parlay. Angels-Braves today.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. No, I'm with you there. I like the Angels today, partly because what happened to the Tigers last night and Soto's meltdown, and they're not going to be able to use him again. I think their bullpen's going to be a little taxed. I like Skubal generally, but I'll give me Ohtani, and I think the Tigers are. I think the Tigers are also pressing with the Cabrera thing. Like, that's become such a story, and it's just, I don't know. It's not the vibe isn't as light as it's been there. For most.
Oh, so that's why Soto gave up that grand slam
and
then a solo shot?
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Soto's on my spike gambling shit list. I had the run line at under 9.5. It's 2-2 in the fucking 9th inning, man. Like I'm good. I'm barely watching. And all of a sudden it's like grand slam. I'm like, well, that's okay, because it's still only whatever. There's still 8. I think the line, there were 8 runs or whatever, and then he gives him another homer. And then Kroll comes in and gives him another one. So I'm a little mad at the Tigers today, because it's not, you lose in baseball all the time. It's a hard sport to predict. But when you go 2-2 in the 9th and it's a 9.5 under, you ought to cover that. There's very little, very few ways you can't. You've also got some over-unders in the NFL that I find very interesting, and I want to get into these because I think our listeners will like this. Over-under wins. Starting, you like Green Bay over 10.5?
Yeah, minus 120, over 10.5. I don't actually love it, but I do like it. Look, Aaron Rodgers is back. They had the fifth best offense in the league last year. He got management to bring back one of his favorite all-time receivers in Randall Cobb. They re-signed Aaron Jones in the offseason. He had 11 total touchdowns. A lot of people wouldn't realize it, but Robert Tonyan's emerging as one of the better tight ends in the league, probably the best tight end in the division. He had 11 touchdowns last year. Defensively, linebacker Zadarius Smith is a beast, 26 sacks combined in the last 2 seasons. But I just think that, Green Bay will just get over this 10.5. I think they get to 11. The schedule-wise, aside, guys, from the 2 games against Detroit, they also get Cincy. It's not that easy of a schedule, so I think they finish the season at 11-6.
Okay. And that's the thing you have to remember. Again, 17 games. So you have to almost reprogram your head a little bit. If somebody looks like a 10-win team, there's an opportunity for another win there. All right, Minnesota over 8.5. And there's been a lot of anti-Minnesota stuff this year because of Cousins, and you've got a Kirk Cousins bet coming up here as well. Yeah. You like Minnesota over 8.5, even with the juice at minus 160.
I do. I have faith in Minnesota. I have faith that Cousins is going to be in every game this season. Not many people would have thought it, but Minnesota got the second most yards per game last year. Out of anyone else in the NFL, you wouldn't really think that it was Minnesota, but it was. Cousins, 20 or more, plus 20 or more touchdowns to pick ratios all 3 years in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook, almost 2,000 yards last year. And defensively, I know they were bad last year. The Vikings really bad, but they got their heart and soul back of their defense in Danielle Hunter, back from that neck injury. He's got 29 sacks over the last 2 seasons when he's played. I like Minnesota to go over 8.5. I think they really contend for the division with Green Bay.
And we'll stay there before we get to the other two. You have Kirk Cousins over 4,050.5 passing yards. And again, there's a lot of Cousins, because he's doing the anti-vax thing.
He's going to be wearing a hazmat suit. That's going to be impressive.
And obviously, he could miss games because of that. But you like him over 4,000 yards this year.
I still do. You got to also remember, like you just mentioned, Graham, the extra game you got to also consider. Played in all 16 games last year at 4,200, over almost 4,300 yards, 68% completion percentage, and that was without Stephon Diggs. But Justin Jefferson was so good as a rookie last season. He helped him out tremendously in 2018. Cousins had 4,300 yards. Thielen is still there in the purple and gold. He had almost 1,000 yards last season. Dalvin Cook is an excellent receiver out of the backfield, 44 receptions. They added D.D. Westbrook. Maybe he can add some punch to that Minnesota offense. And Cousins, the real reason why I like him over 4,050 yards, he has played in 5 of the last 6 years. He has missed a total of 1 game. He's durable. I know this vaccine thing is thrown. Maybe people may be a little hesitant about this bet, but I'm still having faith in Cousins. He's been fantastic. Stats-wise, you look at the stats. He's been fantastic for Minnesota over the 3 years. Did get them 1 playoff win. I like Minnesota, like I said, and I like Cousins this year over 4,050 yards passing.
I can't do it. I mean, I want to do it. I just can't. I can't do it. Okay, but a couple unders you like: the Bears under 7.5 and Detroit under 5. You think the Lions under 5 wins, Bears under 7.5. And there's a lot of – with the Bears, it's tough. Is their defense any good? With Justin Fields, a rookie, I mean, they could be kind of fun to watch at times. You like them under 7.5. You like the Lions under 5.
Yeah, I know the Bears made the playoffs last year. They somehow managed to get to 8-8. But whether it's Dalton, Fields, Foles, I just don't like any of them. I know Fields had a nice bounce-back second half last week against the Dolphins where he ran one in for a touchdown and he also passed for one. But it was a complete blown coverage by Miami. Anyone could have thrown that back. I just don't like their offense overall. 25th in total offense last year. Allen Robinson's an excellent receiver. Boy, he's had to deal with a lot of crappy quarterbacks on Jacksonville and Chicago in his career. Defensively, pretty good still, the Bears, but just 17th in sacks last year. Had just 10 total picks. They were fortunate, I think. They won 6 or 7 games by 7 or less. And this year, their road games, Bears road games are tough this year. Road games they've got at the Rams, at Cleveland, at Tampa, at Seattle, at Green Bay. I just think It's a little difficult for the Bears to overcome, especially with the quarterback situation. So I'm going to go under 7.5. I think they get 6 or 7. And, yeah, you guys, Lions, I'm going to go under 5. I think it's a major drop-off of losing Stafford and now having Goff. They have no running game. They were 30th in the NFL in rushing last year, 30th in passing yards against, 32nd in total defense, last in the league. Wide receivers Marvin Jones, Marvin Hall, Amendola, Kenny Galladay, who went to the Giants now, all gone. That was 13 of the 27 touchdown receptions gone. And, from wide receivers, 13 of the 16 touchdowns past the last year now, which is now gone with these guys being out. I just don't know about the offense for Detroit, and I definitely don't like the defense.
If you want to root for the Lions, the only reason I would take the over, to me it's a low enough win total that you can root for the Lions every week, have a little money on it, and they might get to 5 or 6. All right, Minnesota plus 250 you like for the division. Obviously a little bit of an underdog behind Green Bay, but you think there's enough value there?
I just think there's value here. Like I said, I love their offense. I think it's going to be high octane with Jefferson after his phenomenal rookie season. I think he's going to continue that. Love Dalvin Cook. I mean, so many weapons on offense for Minnesota. I know the defense, like I said, struggled many times last year, and that was their downfall. But still, I think with Hunter back, this Minnesota team is going to be primed and ready. They're going to be back. And there's 2 years removed from they were in the playoffs and the divisional round. I just think last year was one of those things for some teams that just didn't have it right, especially on defense. I think they get back on defense, and I think they challenge Green Bay. I'm not so sold on the Packers overall. Like I said, 11 wins there. I think the Vikings, like we mentioned, 8.5. The over was minus 160. I think they can get to 11-2 and challenge Green Bay for the division.
All right, now, Harry, it's time for you to judge us. And,
okay.
Jason, are you ready with your 3-team parlay?
Yeah, I think I got mine here.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to go Phillies money line at Arizona at minus 165, Harry. Oakland A's plus 1.5 at minus 135 at the Chicago White Sox. And I'm going to take I did do this before the show. So I took the Angels money line tonight at minus 140, and that is going to be plus 379 for your final tally.
That's
wow.
a good.
I kind of, obviously I'm on the Angels as well. Boy, I got to think about that one. Angels, and we've got
A's and Phillies.
A's plus 1.5.
Maybe they show a little pride here after what happened to Bassett last night. Maybe they come back against the White Sox, and that's a nice plus that you get in there too. Yep. And you like the Phillies. Yeah, the Diamondbacks playing well of late a little bit, but still, yeah, Phillies still challenging for the East. I kind of like that one. Okay, that's good. That one's good.
All right. I like where he is with the Angels. I like your picks, actually, in baseball. I think there's some stuff in baseball tonight that's interesting to me. But I had a big I'm giving my can't-miss parlays. I had a big week, gambling-wise, the first week of the English Premier League. Like, I was on it. I read some good stories. I found some people who know what they're talking about. There are mismatches in that league that allow great gambling. You don't want the great games. The great games, it's hard to predict. You want the games that are total mismatches. And I think I found 3 more this weekend. I like Chelsea minus 136 on the money line at Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal's very good this year. I think Chelsea found something. I like Chelsea a lot. Tottenham plus 122 at Wolverhampton. And love the way Tottenham played in the second half last week. And then the third part of that parlay is where did it go?
Cockburn.
Yeah, sorry. It was apologies. This is ridiculous.
Coach my team.
This is ridiculous. Where did it go? It was
it's so bad it left.
Well, I had it crossed off and it's no longer here. It's no, that doesn't work. Something went wrong.
I guess mine wins.
It does not win. Oh, I got you. It's Manchester City.
Over Norwich.
The first half goals -1 over Norwich because it's a huge money line, a huge goal. So, and the first half, so that would pay like $5.12. I believe the whole thing pays roughly $100 bet pays $5.12 for that. So
that's Manchester City over Norwich -1 in the first half.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, and then we're going with Tottenham, which I do like there because Wolverhampton, I think last week got shut out. I think on Saturday or Sunday they got shut out.
And then Chelsea.
And Chelsea over Arsenal.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to lean towards Jason's here. because even though I agree with you about the Manchester City, the big favorite, I'm looking at them at minus 1075 for the game or for the match against Norwich City. But boy, -1 in the first half. That means you got to have 2, and you can't give up any. I still think that a lot of times in soccer teams, like games, matches like this, they don't get really going until the 55th, 65th minute, and then they put something together. I'm going to lean towards Jay on this one.
The argument for me there is if they just win by 1 in the first half, it's a push, and the other 2 still exist in the parlay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But yes,
I hear you. And now, Jason, now Graham's got us watching it early in the morning on Saturday.
No, Graham doesn't. Plus 9,000 if you stayed awake during Graham's parlay.
Well, aside from that, I'm just going to even if you do get a push, then and Jason's wins, it's still going to pay a little bit more. Right. I'm going to lean a little bit towards Jason this week, but I am going to watch the soccer now. I am going to watch this now.
Beautiful. You are a beautiful man, Harry. We look forward to talking to you next week, and we'll start getting. I'm psyched. Football is back, man. As Jason likes to say for his hot takes, football is back. We'll talk soon. Thanks, Harry.
Thanks, you got it, guys. Take care. Let's hit something this weekend. Thanks.
Sounds good. We'll track these 2 parlays. We've done these can't miss parlays 2 different weeks. I'm 1-1. You're 0-2. So right now,
I don't know that. I'm the play. I don't remember my parlays. So
you have not
write these down.
You have not won. I am writing these down. You should write them down too.
I should.
I'm definitely 1-1. Want to thank you for listening and listening to last Wednesday's show. I think last Wednesday's show might have been the most ass we've done in a long time for a show.
Dick.
And so coming back for this Wednesday means a lot. Thanks to Skymint. Go to skymint.com. For location information, for specials, use the Couch and the Rube promo code Couch and Rube 20. And thanks to Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. Go to caskandcompany.com. We'll talk to you Friday. Couch and the Rube.